music for Egypt. Nile FM.
Destiny's Child and Jumpin'. You see me trying to sound really cool saying that. I'm trying my best. It is Zeinab here with you, and it's all about those good vibes only. We are finally on a Wednesday, and it is all about that throwback vibe, but it is not what that is all about. I have finally got my guest in the NileFM studio. Yes, I've been really excited all week, and he's finally here. Now, if you don't already know who I'm talking about, I could tell you right now a few hints. He's made an appearance in season 5 of one of my very favorite shows, of which, you know, I've spoken to him about quite a bit now before we even kicked off the show. And yeah, I'm talking about The Crown. Yeah, you could also see him in this Ramadan 2023 in both Imam al-Shafi'i, the series with Khalid al-Nabawi, and Darb an-Nar. He's a very, very talented rising young star, and he is in the studio with me, and we're going to chat about his journey, and he's going to tell me, and I've got so many questions. Are you ready for me?
Well, firstly, thank you very much for this beautiful introduction. I'm very, very, very happy to be here.
I'm very happy to have you on here with me. I mean, am I the first interview on radio? Am I yet? Please, just say yes. Just say yes. Just even if it's not. Yeah, just say it.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel special. I feel special already. I have so many questions for you, and I want you to get ready for them. But first, we're going to head back to some music. By the way, I'm going to want you to help me out. Today, it's all about that throwback vibe, right?
Okay.
So what I do is I put music from back in the day. So you're going to have to kind of think with me on some songs that we could play out for everyone.
Okay.
All right, have a think on that.
After this one.
Got Christina Aguilera coming up next with Ain't No Other Man.
Hit music for Egypt. Nile FM.
How you doing? And tell me, I have so many questions, but I'm going to take you like bit by bit.
Okay.
Right? We're going to go through the first thing that I really want to know, which is how you started your career in acting. What was the journey?
I started my career in acting while I was in the UK.
Okay.
My father wasn't really with the idea of me getting into this industry
Because it's not stable, right?
Because it's not stable. And so we decided that I'm going to go to the UK, study business, and when I got there, I really felt like this is not what I want to do.
Okay. How long into it did you realize you didn't want to do that?
Didn't want to do business?
Yeah.
Even before going there.
Well, you already, you were set already.
I already know.
Okay.
I already knew what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Before going there. And then when I went there and I started my studies, towards the end of the year, I started feeling like this is not my place, and this is not where I want to be, and this is not what I want to study, but I was already in there.
Yeah.
for almost
but
a
I was
year.
stuck.
Yeah, I was stuck. I was really stuck. And then I spoke with my mother, and she pushed me to actually go and take some acting workshops and get to learn more about myself and about this craft.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there. I found it was like
a workshop.
It was a workshop in a studio that teaches acting, in a drama school, actually.
Okay.
And the drama school was in Leeds, and I studied there. I stayed in this acting workshop for about 6 months.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Egypt because it was summer.
Okay.
So when I went back to Egypt, I actually registered with Ramzi Lenner.
Yeah.
Who's an acting coach here in Egypt at the Luke Lenner Studios, and I studied with him for 4 weeks, I think, or 8 weeks. I don't really remember. That was like in 20.
I love the fact that you're dedicated to the craft, because you left there and you came here for the summer where you're having a good time, and you're like, I went to the workshop here. You know.
Well, I actually my father was always pushing me to work.
Yeah.
But this year to me was like, if I'm gonna work and do anything, I'm gonna work on something that I really want to do, because I'm not gonna study business in the UK and then come back here and then work in a company or something, do an internship.
I'm not gonna do the 9 to 5.
This is not gonna happen. So I found this workshop. I registered. I got accepted, and then I joined, and then I went back to the UK, and I kind of started to put a hand on this question of what
do I do next?
Acting really? No.
What is acting?
What is it? What is and I think until today I don't have an answer for this because it's another world. It's I don't know.
Fantasy. It's an, if you think about it, because it's like you have to put yourself into someone else's shoes, and it's like when we were kids, and used to play pretend, and that's what it is. It's a little fantasy of your imagination, and you make it into a reality. To see how deep I am,
you're
by
very
responding.
deep. But I want to tell you something. As a kid, it was easier to do that.
Yeah.
It was way easier to do that.
I think the older you get, the harder it is.
Yeah, definitely, because the inner child kind of gets stabbed once and twice and three times and four times and until it gets to this place where it's like, I don't know if I'm really allowed to express myself or not, because I'm afraid of being judged. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of this. But as a child, you don't really care about anything.
That's true.
You don't care about anything.
It's before you get exposed to reality. You're still in that kind of pure, open to anything.
Exactly.
Space.
And it's literally, as you said, it's play pretend. This is who I am right now. Boom. It's like, let's go, let's play, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And you don't... tension doesn't come up and says, oh, you can't do this. No, it's like, I'm free.
Anything is possible.
I can do anything. I can fly right now. I'm here. There you go. I'm flying.
Yeah.
And it's like you can start sensing the wind, and you can start sensing so many things, and your body is filled with all those sensations. And it's like when you get older, and this is something I realized, because I had to
put yourself back into reality and ask yourself, what am I doing?
No, I had, when I started taking my acting workshops with my mentor, whose name is Gerald James. He actually started to open up all those areas that had a lot of resistance in them, and that had a lot of blocks in them, because
you have to open them up in order for you to kind of go beyond and get to know the different possibilities and different things that were stuck inside, bottled up inside.
Exactly.
We're going to get into that in a little while. I want to ask you a little bit more about that, but we're going to head back to some more music. Do you want to guess what the song is that's coming up next?
Daft Punk.
No. It is in there. You did suggest it, and it is going to happen. Shall I tell you? All right, this is Aaliyah, Timbaland, and we need a resolution. You ready for it?
Ready.
Here we go.
Hit music for Egypt. Nile FM.
And that is Pink and Most Girls right here on Egypt's #1 for hit music, Nile FM. Are you liking the music so far? Again.
Very much.
Yay, there you are. Yeah, I kind of feel very proud that I'm between the songs, so that you know, I'm turning around and going, yes, this song was played back in 1999. And do you know this person? You know, they first came out when I first heard this, and he's just looking at me like, okay, Zeinab, if you say so. Now, earlier on, we were talking about the fact that, you came here on holiday when you were back in the UK, came on holiday, and you decided to take a workshop for 4 weeks. And that came at the time where you were really kind of sitting there with yourself and asking yourself, what is acting? What did you you were telling me about the fact, that your teacher, your tutor, let's put it that way.
Mentor.
Your mentor, I was looking for that word. Taught you to kind of like really understand, to kind of get through the obstacles that were getting in the way. What kind of process was that?
It was a very hard process. I mean, I saw him for the first time. My mentor, I saw him for the first time in 2018.
Okay.
He was giving a workshop in Egypt, and I went there. I was just observing the people, because it had already started for a couple of months, I think.
So you're shadowing?
Yeah, I was shadowing, and I remember that after the class was finished, he came and he shook my hand, and he looked at me in the eyes, and he told me, never let anyone get in the way of your dream. And that was literally during this period of me trying to think whether, should I follow this path or this path?
Okay.
You know? So when he told me this, it was kind of an affirmation to just keep going. Went back there to the UK. I started studying and working on myself and doing this and this and this. And then I came back in 2020 and I met him, and we started working together for 2.5 years.
Okay.
And we still work together until today.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, you said that you came back in 2020. Before you came back, you did a short movie.
Yeah.
Called Walkabout.
Yeah, I did several short films in
Okay.
the UK. Most of them were student short films.
But they're good for you to create a reel. Yeah.
Definitely. But my first big project was Walkout 1.
Yeah.
And it was a short movie that got screened in London in October 2020. And this was my...
How did that come about though? Like that part?
It came about from... the director of the movie called me. I saw the casting call on a website called Mandy in the UK, and I submitted my profile, and she called me I think a couple of days later saying, "Hey, can you come in for an audition?" So I went to London from Leeds.
Yeah.
I auditioned, and I went back to Leeds, and they called me 3 days later, and they were like, "Hey, we want you for the role." So that was like very big for me. We had 5 weeks of rehearsals, and then we shot the movie.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, I've got to ask, now, when you get like a role in a movie and it's in the UK and it's like that's a really great step. Did you, and I'm going to put that question to you, and you're not going to answer it just yet, right? Was it just a little bit tempting to stick around there and see how it works out for you in the UK? Or did you kind of feel like, no, I need to go back to Egypt. I want to try my luck there. Think on it.
Well, I think I quite know my answer.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning I wanted to stay there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's tempting, no?
Yeah, it's very tempting because I already put my feet in the market, you know. So and I was talking to an agent, and things were actually moving,
Coming together.
Yeah, but then my visa expired. I finished my studies, so
when a visa gets in the way.
Yeah, I had to come back to Egypt, and then when I came here, and I started working, I was very happy. I was very happy, and I'm happy that I already have my agent there, and I have my work in here, and my agent here, and my manager here. So it's like, you know,
the best of both worlds.
I'm in there and I'm in here.
The best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if I get a job, I'm gonna go do it and then come back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about your work here in just a minute, but first we've got more music on the way. All right, let me tell you. Oh, okay. We've got Justin Timberlake coming up, but right after this.
Hit music for Egypt. Nile FM.
Usher and You Make Me Wanna right here on Egypt's #1 for hit music, Nile FM. It's Zeinab here with you, and it's all about those good vibes only. Actor Ahmed Ghozzi in the Nile FM studio with me still.
I'm vibing.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah.
Yes. It's all about the good vibes in the studio. It's all about the good vibes, and that's all I want. Now, we were talking a little earlier on, and you were telling me, you know, you left the UK, you came here. Initially, you came here just to, you know, for the 4-week period of the holidays, and you started taking workshops, and then you went back, and then as of 2020, you came back to Egypt. Even though, like, you'd opened up an avenue there and the temptation was there, you still managed to come back here. Now, since being here, I honestly, on my personal opinion, I kind of feel like you achieved so much in a short period of time. And I think that's something to be very, very proud of. You know, you start getting roles. You have roles in الاختيار, The Choice. You خلي بالك من Zizi. What else was there? 60 Minutes, directed by Miriam Ahmadi.
بين السماء والأرض.
بين السماء This is why I do English. This is exactly why. And then you've got this year, الإمام الشافعي and ضرب نار. That's impressive.
Thank you.
Now, I want to know how it came about, how it kicked off, the very first role that you got once you arrived in Egypt.
I went for several auditions.
Okay.
And the casting director for L'Ikhtiyar called me.
Okay.
And they gave me a role after auditioning, after doing the audition. I think it was like a couple of weeks.
Were you called
after.
back a couple of times before? Or was it
No,
just a straight
I did the audition and
one shot?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. And how was that experience?
It was a very nice experience.
Did you feel like there was a difference between the experience here and the experience abroad?
No. I again, the only difference I can see between here and there is that there in Europe and in the US, I think they take more time in pre-production.
Okay.
I think they could take up to a year actually prepping for a project before getting into it and getting into shooting it.
Yeah.
But in Egypt, it's not the same. I guess there are some projects where you get to prep them in a very long time, but most of the projects you get to prep them in a couple of months and then you start shooting. And I think it's just a different system. You know?
Yeah.
This is how they work there. This is how we work here.
All that matters is that end result.
Yeah, exactly. Just creating a good project for the people to actually enjoy and love, and all that is the goal at the end of the day.
Okay, after L'Ikhtiyar, what came next?
L'Ikhtiyar and Bين السما والأرض came together.
They came together?
Yeah, in the same day, literally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was a good day.
It was a good
that
day,
was
but
a
it was
good
a very overwhelming day.
All right.
It was a very overwhelming moment. I remember I went to the kitchen and I started pacing. What am I gonna do? Because I was very overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because I was literally right before getting these two roles. I had this dilemma in my head whether I should give up or not.
Oh, okay. You did have that moment.
A week before getting these two roles. And then my mentor, he was like, you know what, just work. Just keep working on yourself as an actor. Just keep working. So I kept working. And a week later, I received a phone call while I was in class. Hey, you got this part.
Yeah.
I hung up the phone. Literally 2 minutes later, hey, you got this part.
Oh, that's
And
brilliant.
I was like, what is happening? And Alhamdulillah. But I was very overwhelmed, and I really felt like, am I going to be able to do this or not?
How was that first day getting on the shoot? Did you kind of like take it all in?
I was a bit tense, actually.
It was tense,
on that
huh?
first day. I was a bit tense. I mean, it's my first big
Which one did you go to first?
L'Ikhtiyar.
L'Ikhtiyar,
It was
huh?
a very big production. I have a very big responsibility in this show as well.
Yeah.
And it was in the street.
Oh.
And it was very I was so tense that day. I remember very well. I was so tense. My first day in a very big production, and I'm working with a very big director. I'm working with very big stars, and the whole show. It's such a powerful story.
It really is.
That I mean, I have a lot of responsibility towards this story. So I was very tense, and but then after the first day,
it flowed.
Yeah,
it flowed from there. Once you get past those initial nerves, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like stage fright. You know, those first few minutes that you get on that stage.
But it was mainly this tension came in because this was my
responsibility.
First production in Egypt.
Yeah.
I'm working with a big director.
Yeah.
Who has a very big name, and I'm still starting out, and even the short movie that I shot in London, it was a very professional set with and actually the budget for the short movie was a big budget, but
the pressure is difficult to compare both to each other, I think.
Both to each other, and I mean, it's a new experience here and a new experience here.
Two completely different experiences.
But I think the responsibility for this role is what really kind of it made me tense the first day. Yeah. But I only had one scene. Okay. So, alhamdulillah.
You eased yourself in there. There. All right, I've got more music. Mario Winans, P. Diddy, and Enya are up next, right? The song is called I Don't Wanna Know. Do you want to check it out?
Let's check it out.
I love the fact that you paused there for a second. You left me hanging.
Hit music for Egypt. Nile FM.
Amory, and one thing right here on Egypt's number one for hit music, NileFM, is Zeinab here with you, and I've got actor Ahmed Ghozzi still in the NileFM studio with me. How you doing over there?
Great.
You enjoying the songs?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Like a couple of the songs that are coming up are the ones that you chose, and actually we played "Get Lucky." You're the one that came up with that one. Yep, Daft Punk. It's all due to Ahmed, just so that you know. Now we have. Well, we basically covered the fact that, you know, you were in the UK, you came here, and then once you came here, things started to kind of like really take shape. And funnily enough, the day that you were actually considering giving up is the day that everything kind of fell into place, and you got yourself these really cool parts in Al-Ikhtiyar and in
Bin Samol.
Yes. I just went for it. Did you see me for a second there? And I went. Right, so you get these two parts, and it's super exciting. You're part of something that's major, especially Al-Ikhtiyar. It's major show that we were all watching religiously. I think for sure. Did that give you the boost? Did that make you realize that you were on the right track?
I guess so.
Or did you have that moment where you were still questioning yourself? Did you feel like I'm an imposter here, or did you start feeling like, all right, this is all starting to make sense?
No, I felt that it was all starting to make sense after I finished.
Okay.
When I was in the show itself, and while I was shooting it, I wasn't really thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
But the show and what I'm doing right now. You know.
That's another thing that I wanted to ask you about, because you know, you ended up doing two different roles in that year, and then this last year you did two completely different roles as well. You had Imam Shafi'i and Darbanor, you know, completely different people. How does that work when you're taking on two different characters and you're shooting around the same time?
It's very challenging. I mean, I think to me it was very challenging. Very, very challenging because it's very hard to keep oneself sane.
Okay.
In the midst of all these things that are happening. You know, shooting here and there, getting involved in this story, and then getting involved in this story, and then playing that character and playing that character. It was a very hectic experience.
How do you kind of get yourself out of it? Because I'm assuming when you get into a character, you get engrossed in that character, and you really kind of, you know, it's hard enough anyway doing one project and being in a particular character and managing to get yourself out of it. Never mind when you're playing two different characters around the same time, and you've got to kind of pull yourself out of this one and then get into the other one, and so forth. What was your method? Did you have a method of kind of like keeping your sanity in the midst of this?
No, I did not have a method. You know, this thing called so-called character. At the end of the day, it's you. Yeah. But under imaginary circumstances, basically. That's the whole thing. So there is this thing about creating this physicality for the character and all that. But at the end of the day, it's you. Yeah. You know? So sometimes it was very hard after some specific scenes. I remember one day I went back home after a long day of shooting, and I had a breakdown at home, and I really did not know what to do because I felt so overwhelmed. And I was almost done with I was done with Imam Shafi'i, and I was almost done with Darbanor. It was probably in
that was a
2 days of filming.
That was a hard role to shoot as well, from my understanding. That was really intense.
Yeah, mainly because of the drug addiction.
Just a tad. I mean, the character, just so that we're clear on that.
Yeah.
Not Ahmed.
No, not
Let's
me.
just make that clear.
No, that's not me.
No, yes.
No, the character was a drug addict, and in order to perform that truthfully, and for the people to actually believe it, I need to believe it myself first. Yeah. And and it was quite intense because there are days when you
Is it depressing?
yeah,
Does it pull you down?
there
right?
were days where I felt so down, so down, and there were no reasons for me feeling down, but it all goes back to the character because subconsciously you get affected.
Yeah.
You get affected by what you're doing, and the first day you're not involved in the story as the second day, and the third day you're more involved, and the fourth day you're more, and until you really get immersed in the story bit by bit, and then it becomes
Bigger than
life.
yourself. Yeah.
It becomes life.
Yeah.
This is life. This is what I do every day, and not shooting, but this is how I live every day as the character.
Yeah.
So
You take it home with you, basically, right?
Yeah.
Without meaning to. I don't think
Yeah.
your intention is to
Yeah,
take it. Like, I
yeah,
think
yeah,
everyone would
yeah.
like, ideally, not to take it home with them.
Unconsciously
Yeah.
things stay with you, and things affect you so much. And I remember that day when I went back home and I had this immense breakdown, and I really had no idea what's happening with me, what's going on. I have no idea, but sometimes you sometimes feel things, and I think that when these feelings come up and we don't have an answer to them,
Yeah.
we just need to feel them.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just allowing
Let
them
it
to
play
be
out.
there, and exactly, letting the feeling flow, and then it will go away on its own, because at the end of the day, it's energy that is just flowing in your body.
Yeah.
So I think that day, the way I dealt with it was
Just to
I
let
just
it all out.
accepted what I'm feeling right now. I'm always trying to accept how I feel, which is really hard. It's really hard.
Agreed.
So I try to accept how I feel, and I try to allow myself to just let it be, let it flow. And it was insanely powerful, but I woke up the next day and I felt
Great.
yeah.
You felt a lot better for
Yeah,
letting it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I think you couldn't have done it in a better way, honestly. Sometimes it's true, you got to let yourself sit in it and feel it, and then have some kind of outlet so that you could come on the other side. Agreed with you on that. All right, we're going to talk about this a little bit further, but first, I've got more music on the way for you. John Legend is going to be happening. Don't worry, I still got Sting. You said Desert Road, Desert Road,
Yeah,
Roads.
Desert Road.
Can you imagine the Desert Road? Desert Rose and Sting, that is coming up as well. But first, here's this.
Hit music for Egypt. Nile FM.
Ahmed Ghozzi in the NileFM studio with me, and he chose that track.
Yeah, I love it.
What is it about this track that is it linked to a memory?
No, it's not linked to memory. It just makes me feel dreamy,
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Dreamy.
Yeah.
Talking to dreams.
The desert.
And the desert. The desert road.
Desert road.
Right, so I'm at this stage where I have to ask you. Because right now I'm so fangirling over, you know what I'm going to say.
Yes.
The fact that, you took part in a particular series that I am a major fan of. I'm talking about The Crown, season 5, specifically episode 3.
Moo.
Mumu, yes. Now, it's set in Alexandria, the beginning of that, and this is where we're introduced to yourself, your sister, and your soon brother-to-be. And by yourself, I'm talking about Adnan al-Khashoggi, right? Do I say that?
Khashoggi. Yeah.
Yeah. How was that? Like, how did that come about? I know there was obviously an audition process and everything like that. But when you went in to audition for this part, was it actually that particular scene that you auditioned?
Yeah. You know what's really interesting about this is that my acting coach was talking to me about the show a couple of months before I get the audition.
Oh, wow.
He was like, "There's this show called The Crown. I've heard about it a lot." He was like, "The work is insanely beautiful. Go watch it." So I started watching. I finished the first 4 seasons in about maybe a week or something.
You did the back-to-back thing.
Yeah.
It's addictive like that.
And then out of nowhere, a couple of weeks later, I get this audition from my agent saying, hey, this is an audition for The Crown for the 5th season. So please submit your tape. And this is the deadline, I did it, and then they didn't call me for about a month.
Oh, the wait.
And you know, it's usually after doing an audition, you just have to let it go. Because it might not come back. And most of the time it doesn't come back. So I just let it go. And a month later, my agent called me once again, and they were like, hey, they want you to do the audition once again. And they sent me different sides. And I did the audition once again. And then 3 days later, or no, actually a week later, my agent called me. Are you free from this time to this time? Yes, I'm free. Blah, blah, blah. Let's start the visa process. We started everything. And then I went to Spain and we shot the series there.
How was your initial reaction when you were told that you actually got the part? Like, was it just like excitement? Did you feel overwhelmed? Did you kind of like...
I was overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, I was overwhelmed, but I wasn't overwhelmed in a negative way. You know, I was just filled with all those feelings and sensations that I'm like,
the butterflies.
Oh my God, The Crown season 5, and I was like, how am I going to start working on this, and what am I going to do? And it's the same thing that happens literally with every single project that comes. You know, there's this few couple of minutes where you're just like, all this energy hits you, and it's like you just need to calm yourself down, really center yourself and ground yourself, and everything works at the end of the day.
I think what makes it really special for me as someone that's watching is the fact that, you know, it was this particular season where generally, if you think about it, like the Western media have this tendency to sometimes miscast people. You know, everyone, they kind of go, oh, that person speaks Arabic, that person speaks Arabic, you know, that person will do it. And they don't quite realize they've fallen into the mistake sometimes of not realizing not everyone that speaks Arabic speaks the same dialect.
True.
There are different forms of speaking it. So this is probably for me, as someone that avidly watches The Crown or any kind of thing on TV, it's really nice to see, you know, that they got it right.
Yeah.
You know, the right people got the part, you know?
No, they actually made sure to cast the right people for this.
Yeah. How was that? I mean, you're walking into this amazing piece of work that's been going on for 5 seasons. Hopefully there's a 6th one on the way, waiting for it.
Last
and everything
one.
like that. Yep, the last and final one. Well, it was a love letter to the Queen, wasn't it? That's how you described. Anyway, that's me rambling. But you know, how did it feel walking in and realizing, you know what, you're part of something really big, and then you've got your castmates. You know, you've got Amir al-Masri, and who else was an Egyptian in there? I think it was Khalid Abdullah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And Salim Dawa is
Salim is
Arab.
Palestinian.
Yes,
Palestinian.
Palestinian,
Yes. How was that to feel that you're part of that kind of that kind of cast?
You know, when I first got there, I didn't know who was playing Mohammed al-Fayed, young Mohammed al-Fayed.
Okay.
I didn't know. So I was the first one to arrive in the whole production.
Okay.
They booked me a ticket literally 3 or 4 days before they arrive.
Okay.
I went to Spain, sat there, chilled for a couple of days.
That must have been
Oh,
fun. I
oh
would have
my God,
enjoyed
that was amazing. I love the production so much. They were very helpful people, very nice people, very professional people. And yeah, I got there 3 days before or 4 days before they arrive. And one day I was just walking on the port and I found the set of The Crown.
Oh,
and
wow.
they were filming something. And the crew was there, the director was there, you know, everyone was there. And then out of nowhere, I just look and I found Amir al-Masri and Khalid Abdullah standing right next to each other. And I said to myself, I know that Khalid is playing Dodi,
yeah.
but I didn't know that Amir al-Masri is playing
Younger.
Muhammad.
Yeah.
And I thought that Amir was just there with Khalid. He
Hanging
was,
around.
He was in Spain, and you know, he was just hanging around,
Just chilling.
So I
on
went
set.
to them. And we actually introduced ourselves.
Yeah.
And they told me that they're going to the unit base to do a couple of things. So I went with them, and we actually started back to hang out, you know, every day, talking about me and Amir. We got really close during that period. We talked about our roles. We did a couple of rehearsals, and it was such a great experience, to be honest.
See, I was going to ask you what was the mood like on set, but you've given it to me there. It sounds like an amazing mood.
It was great. It was very smooth. It was very it was beautiful, honestly.
Do you feel like it had an impact on you in general, that particular experience?
It had an effect on my work, I guess. On my work, and I think, you know, after every role, when you look back at it, I sometimes question myself whether if I would have approached it differently right now than I approached it back then.
Yeah.
And I think that right now I would have approached it differently. Actually,
you would have.
I would have.
I thought that was
definitely. I
loved it. Like, I'm telling you, that episode, and I was telling you earlier on, that one episode was the one episode in the whole of The Crown.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've watched all seasons where I bawled like a baby. I was at the end of it. I was just really kind of taken in by how powerful that episode really was.
A lot of people said that this was their favorite episode.
It really is.
Yeah, including one of the producers. So but we were emailing each other one day, and she sent me this email saying that this is her favorite episode in the whole show, in the 5 seasons. And to me, that was big.
I second that.
That was big. I mean,
major.
I'm very happy to hear that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I wonder how it's going to pan out. But for me, honestly, it was definitely my favorite episode. And I was telling you the story. Like, I was speaking to my mom and I was telling her she must watch it. And, you know, I was telling her about that particular episode. And I'd watched the episode a good, month before I was telling my mom about this particular episode. So there I am telling her what happens in this episode because I'm trying to get her to watch it. And then I started crying just remembering the episode. That's how powerful that episode was.
Yeah.
If you could choose a character that's already been played, like this is, you know, like how right now you've got like movies that are being remade by different people. Like the last thing I read was Kate Hudson and I can't remember who else. They're going to do a movie that her mother, Goldie Hawn, was in a while back. And it was, what was the name of that movie? Oh, it was my favorite. It was Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn. And it's having a remake right now.
Okay.
But the point is, if you were given that kind of option, if you could remake a particular movie or series from back in the day and you got to choose the character that you played, which one would you choose?
There are 2 characters that well, actually 3.
Yeah.
Al Pacino in Scarface.
Oh. Yeah.
What was the second one? Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman.
Al Pacino is a theme right now. I get it though. I get it. Both those movies are brilliant.
Joaquin Phoenix and Joker.
Ooh.
Joker. I would actually love to play something like that. I mean, it's I can't imagine how intense
it was
his experience was, but I would love to play something like that.
I could see you do it though. That's the thing. That's like you could really kind of immerse yourself into that and you get into it. You really would.
I would love to explore this human being. Yeah.
Is there a part that you like now, as of now? Is there a particular part that you want to do next? Like, what should we look out for when it comes to you? Did that make sense?
No.
I can see it on your face.
It didn't make sense.
What should we be looking out for when it comes to you? What kind of decisions do you want to make? What kind of parts do you want to take on here as well?
You know, I'm gonna tell you something. I love drama.
Yeah.
I love drama, but I would love to explore everything. You know, I love drama, but still,
I kind of got the gist, you know, Sense of the Woman, Joker.
Yeah. No, at the end of the day, it depends on the story and on the character. If it's something that I'm really attracted to and feel like I can see myself in here, I'm definitely gonna do it.
Is that how you choose your parts? Is it like you know, if you feel like I'm vibing with this, something about this has just got me.
If I'm not vibing, then I'm definitely not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. It's a gut feeling. It's
go with the gut.
Yeah,
go with the
it's
gut.
a gut feeling of like, do this.
Okay.
Or don't do this.
Do you know what? I've tried following my gut feeling before. It's got me into trouble. Like I don't know what is going on.
Sometimes,
it's just a me thing.
But by the way, sometimes your gut gets you into trouble, but it's trouble that you need to get through.
I like that. I could use that as a quote. You're going to have to write that for me.
Write it for
I
you.
like that. But you have a point. Sometimes you do need to go through the chaos to get on the other side on track where you need to be taking. All right. If someone was out there and they're an aspiring actor and, you feel like that they need a particular piece of advice, what advice would you give?
Follow your dreams and never let anyone come in the way of your dream. Never.
I like the way you said that. Can you repeat that again? He's got radio voice.
Follow your dream and never allow anyone to get in the way.
Nice. There you go. You've been told. If you're listening,
follow your dreams, babies.
Exactly. Follow those dreams of yours and don't let anything get in the way. For sure.
No one.
At all. Do you see how I ended that? Well, Ahmed, it's been absolutely amazing to have you on the show. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine.
I hope this isn't the only time that I'm going to see you. Hopefully I'm going to see you on here a few more times. Just come on over and we'll have a nice little chat. And till the next time. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
All right, more music on the way for you. I've got Roses. I don't know what it is about roses today and songs, but I've got Roses and Stella Cole coming up next. Check it out.